It's a bear. Got that one right. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. And what a just drop dead, gorgeous, lovely live view of the Deerfield underwater cam today. Usually you don't get this type of clarity. Most of the time you can't see those pylons in the background there. And as you can see, we get all kinds of cool critters out today. Take a look at that. Lots of bait fish, and again, you don't very often see the pier pylons in the background. The water clarity is typically not that great. But today, a few barracudas hanging out up there, as you can see, and the bait fish swimming around. There's a Bermuda chub. They're always smiling. And that feels like that's what I should be doing, always smiling. That's what we should all be doing, smiling all the time, even in the face of predators. And there's a few predators up there. There's one right there, and there's a file fish right there. All right, I'm done with my nature show for the day. Let's get into what we're going to talk about here, which is precious metals. That's what we do here. Well, folks, excuse me for that little pause there. You got to be looking at the markets this morning going, oh my gosh, what happened? And this is what we expected, kind of. What have I been talking about for the last 2 weeks? We should expect another knockdown by these corrupt, crooked banks at the COMEX markets run by the CME group and highly manipulated markets that they are. And we talk about this all the time. I talk about how manipulated the markets are. All the markets are manipulated. The stock market, the equity markets, the commodities markets. There's probably not much in our lives that's not manipulated, not excluding elections. Sorry, I didn't mean to go there, but it's true, man. It's we've kind of ended up in a very corrupt, and what's the word I'm looking for here? I think I wrote it down here. Our governments, our officials, our politicians, our agencies, our institutions, and some corporations just made corrupt, man. How did we get to this point? Why? How? I don't know. And again, anyone that takes this as me America bashing, I'm not doing any such thing. I'm not bashing America. I'm not bashing the country. I love this country. I love the people in it, even the people I disagree with, especially, because I never learned anything from people I agreed with. So we need people we disagree with out there, but civil disagreement, civil discussions is where it's at for me. And again, I love my peoples out there. I love my country. I love my Constitution. What I don't love is I don't love how corrupt that our government has become. I don't like how corrupt our agencies have become. I don't like how corrupt that our corporations, our crony corporations, because they're certainly not free market corporations, have become. And it gets frustrating. It gets really, really frustrating. So what are the options when you get really frustrated? Well, there's two things you can do. You can just quit and not play. And not play the game at all. But one of the sayings, and I haven't posted this in quite some time, and here's today's saying of the day, I guess. Of course the game is rigged, but don't let that stop you. If you don't play, you can't win. And this is what I've been talking about for quite some time when it comes to precious metals. Don't get discouraged by this. In fact, there's quite a few people out there that are encouraged by these monkey hammerings, these knockdowns in prices that we see, including myself. It gives us the opportunity to buy more, get rid of the paper and buy more physical. And that's exactly what's happening right now. There's basically no physical silver on the markets, very little to be had. The premiums are just absolutely insane. It makes zero sense. And again, we still have the tail wagging the dog, the tail being the paper markets, the dog being the physical markets. But I don't think that's going to last much longer. I mean, we cannot continue with zero investment supply or extremely large premiums on what is available out there, which tells us that people are not willing to sell at this bullshit paper price of $25 an ounce. Because here's the other thing. Let me get out of this real quick here. I just want to remind everybody, of course the game is rigged, but don't let that stop you. If you don't play, you can't win. There's two options. You can just lay down and die and be poor the rest of your life, or you can learn how the game is rigged. And how do you do that? You listen to folks like me, you listen to folks like Ted Butler, you listen to folks like GATA.org and other intelligent folks out there in YouTube land and elsewhere who are going to explain to you how the game is rigged, because once you know how the game is rigged, you automatically become a way better player. Once you know who the riggers are and who the big whales that get special treatment are, you become a way better player, because you're no longer at the sucker at the table. I mean, because, you know, until you know that, you are the sucker at the table. So of course the game is rigged, but again, if you don't play, you're not going to win. And this is the advantage of learning how the game is rigged. Not necessarily just playing the game. Anyone can learn how to play poker, but not everyone is going to know who's the sucker at the table. And that's what we're here to teach you. Who's the sucker at the table? We are not, okay? Crooked COMEX Day, that's what I'm going to call today. Officially Crooked COMEX Day, but we have a lot of Crooked COMEX Days. And why am I saying Crooked COMEX Day? Because take a look at what how in any sane world, or any type of non-bizarro world, any non-clown world, would silver be so hard to get, and the premiums, or any product would be so hard to get, nearly impossible to get. The demand is off the hook for it, okay? The supply is basically nil, and the price goes down. Where could that happen anywhere but Superman's bizarro world? Nowhere, nowhere. And this tells you that the markets are definitely crooked, all right? I just talk about silver markets, but I can assure you that if this is done in silver markets and gold markets, it's also done in a host of other markets in the commodities area, and probably in equities and bonds and treasuries and all that stuff. I'm sure those markets are rigged as well. Folks, once, you know, we're in the declining days of this particular empire, so you know, plan accordingly. And like I said, of course the game is rigged, but if you know who the players are and you know how the game is rigged, you'll come out pretty good. And where are we going from that? Man, I said a lot in just a few minutes here, so let's see if I can knock this video down. All right, I didn't update it for a little while. Let me see what's happening. I haven't even looked since I updated it. Oh wow, we did break that sub $1,900 level, but it looks like since then we're back up. They were really trying, folks. Remember I told you that they were going to try to knock it down to the $23 mark on silver, and sub 1900. Who's trying? The big commercial short positions out there, the big commercial shorts that Ted Butler talks about all the time. He's absolutely correct about. They're the ones right now colluding together, trying to knock this price down closer to 23 bucks an ounce, where they can maybe exit their huge losses that they have right now into the billions, and Bank of America as well. Let's look at this. 1913 currently, 1891 the low. I seen that this morning, in 1929 the high. I suspect, again, we're going to look at the 24-hour charts, that this collusive, manipulative behavior occurred on the COMEX markets. Chances are it happened when they opened this morning, and I'm betting that's the case, particularly with silver. Silver currently at $24.50, down 40 cents from yesterday, was in that $25 range. We even seen a low of $24. Take a look at that, folks. They were just, I mean, talk about psychological numbers. 24 is like 1 cent away from that $23. And they really, really tried hard to knock it down to that level. Hey, listen though, the week's not over. I still think we could very possibly see sub $1,900 gold and sub 23 or sub $24 silver. Platinum surprising the living shit out of me. Just recently found out too that platinum has not been sanctioned, neither has palladium, conveniently, because it's a strategic metal of some sort, and they knew they'd be stepping on their own wee-wees if they sanctioned platinum and palladium from Russia. So no sanctions on platinum and palladium whatsoever. But meanwhile, in a free fall, what does that tell you? I'm telling you, folks, these markets are crooked as shit, okay? And who's crooked? Not the markets in general, not the precious metal traders, the people out there buying and selling real gold bars and silver, and not a lot of people that participate in the COMEX markets. But who's corrupt? The COMEX market is so corrupt. It's just like the LME markets, where they allow this, again, they allow these big collusive banks to band together, these big whales, and block everyone else out. GATA.org, actually, a little article here, they mentioned Ted Butler. They believe that that it's governments and the Fed that's actually doing that. And we'll get into that in a moment as well. But wow, take a look at platinum. Man, I've just, for some reason, not some reason, I'm going to just buy some more platinum today. What a price. I don't even need it in stock. I've got some in stock right now, but I'm definitely going to load up if I can. I'm curious to see what the availability of platinum is as well. But silver, man, there's just none available, and the price is down. It just makes no sense. The only sense it makes, again, it just clearly shows you how crooked they are, folks. And I know I keep sounding like a broken record, but it's true. Crooked COMEX day. Let's just call it the crooked COMEX decade. Couple decades or more. But again, don't get discouraged. The nice thing about gold and silver is that you're buying the dog, you're not buying the tail. Stop buying the paper end of it, just buy the dog, which is the physical. And as long as you're buying the dog, you're getting the dog. You're not getting a paper that says you own the dog. No less, good opportunity to stack more silver and gold at these lower prices. Silver and gold are not collapsing, go anywhere. This is just pure collusive, manipulative behavior on the COMEX markets. And let's take a look at the 24-hour charts. They're just going to show us when and how it happened. Of course, there you go. There's your New York COMEX market opens right there at 8:30, I believe it is, or 8:20 or something like that. Take a look at that. There you go, just before it opens up. There's your free fall. Of course, though, we've snapped back up again, but this is what we've been seeing. The pattern that I've been seeing is this. We've been seeing, for a while there, we were seeing 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Right now we're seeing 3 steps forward and 4 back. Again, we're seeing some lower lows here. But again, this is just manipulative behavior. And the proof in the pudding is that you can't buy silver. You just can't find it anywhere. We're going to get into that when I start. We're going to look at JM's page and talk about the availability of certain products. Let's take a look at silver. Where did that same behavior happen? Your sub $24 happened in the COMEX markets again, and there we are, right there, folks. See, that's see the shaded area? That's the COMEX markets. Now, it started before that, but don't forget, COMEX is a 24-hour market. They call it NYMEX between 8:20 and what was it, 1 something when it closes, I forget. But COMEX CME Group, New York NYMEX, is also New York Globex. Globex is just the 23-hour version of COMEX. All right, another place that they can monkey hammer metals down, and that's where they do it. And that's what we got today. Again, great opportunity to buy the dips, in my opinion, folks. And that's if you can find the product, especially with silver. Gold is readily available, or a little more readily available than silver for sure. Let's take a look at what's going on in, oh yeah, that's right, ceasefire. They're talking about a ceasefire in Ukraine. And remember when I told you that big monkey hammering will occur, well, this is a perfect example. The collusive behavior, the monkey hammering by these big commercial banks and COMEX markets happens usually on a news event or when Powell is jawboning rates or something like that. That's usually when they monkey hammer these markets. Well, I said it a while back ago, every time they're going to talk about the war ending in Ukraine is when you're going to see these big banks monkey hammering these markets downward. And that's exactly what we saw happen last night, or overnight. I guess there was talks of a potential ceasefire in Ukraine with the Russians, which I think is just jawboning as well. But we'll see what happens. However, it did provide them the opportunity to monkey hammer gold and silver markets down on that news, and I believe that's exactly what's happening. But it looks like it's moving back upwards again today, and we'll see. Again, we're not over. I still think they're going to try to hit that $23 level and cover as much of their losses as they can. Let's take a look at equities markets right here. Everything's up a little bit, but not much. Futures markets, and again, folks, if you don't, I am certain that equity markets are rigged as well to the nth degree, and rigged to the upward swing, not to the downward swing. I mean, our country basically. We view our economic health as a stock market, which is unhealthy. Our economic health should have been manufacturing, small business in general, people that create things, not the finance industry. The finance industry is filled with nothing but crooks. They produce nothing. They produce nothing at all. All they do is, they're parasites, more or less. All right, that's a whole story for a different day. But no less, Take a look at this. Looks like the market's up a little bit. Again, probably based on this ceasefire news. This is the best they can do. This is best the manipulative monkey hammers can do. Again, I also believe, as a lot of people believe right now, that the stock market is being propped up and held up by the federal government, the plunge protection team, more or less, PPT, who can go in secretly and pump these markets up. Speaking of doing stuff secretly, well, here, let's get through and just see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin's kind of steady right now, and again, as if you've been watching my video the last few days, I talked to why I think Bitcoin got the bid. You know, it has been following the NASDAQ market, but since Russia said that they would accept oil, gold for oil, and potentially Bitcoin as well, which I think was a miscommunication. I think they were just talking about crypto technology to transfer between China, India, and Russia. I don't think they were talking about Bitcoin, but that's what came out, and I think that's why Bitcoin has got the bid here. You know, the fact of the matter is that that the ruble, Russians, I'm sorry, Russia does not want a crypto-backed or Bitcoin-backed currency, or they don't want much to do with Bitcoin. I'm sure of that. Now, would they love to create their own type of crypto technology or their own central bank digital currency? Yeah, that's, I think, where they're going with that. But no less, let me move along here too, because this could be a long video. Listen, a quick heads up to a lot of people out there. Be careful. Again, I don't want to say who, I'm not saying, obviously I'm not going to say who or anything in my suspicions, but be careful out there of big online bullion companies, especially anyone that has, now you're going to expect delayed deliveries on some silver products and things like that, but if you're starting to see delays in gold products and other products from an online company, be a little bit suspicious there, folks. You know, I mean, there's some good companies out there, and you know, of course, the ones that I talk about, I believe, are pretty solid, good companies. I don't think there's any issues with the companies that I'm talking about generally, but there are companies out there that go down, and you don't want people to go down with your money. So I think if you start to see long delays in products across the board from a particular online company, not just silver, but you start to see it in gold, which is not so hard to get, and you see delayed deliveries, I think there may be some issues with that company. So when you start to see any company that has long delayed deliveries on gold right now, along with silver, again, silver would be more explainable for delayed deliveries, but gold, not so much. So, you know, if you're dealing with companies that have delayed deliveries on gold right now, I suggest just being careful. That's my thoughts. So, and again, I'm a guy in the industry. I hear things, I see things, and I go with my gut feeling. What's the best products out there? And by the way, JM Bullion is the 800-pound gorilla out there. They're owned by A-Mark. A-Mark's a publicly traded company. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime fast. And I really honestly believe, as far as you know, online resellers, JM Bullion is the 800-pound gorilla out there. You know, they may not always have the cheapest product, but they are the 800-pound gorilla. And the 800-pound gorilla, who actually has ownership in some generic mints, is having a hard time supplying generic 1 ounces. Look at that. Look at JM Bullion, a $5 plus premium, as low as closer to $6 if you're getting here. Take a look. Let's see, $30.58, $24.70. So yeah, that's about almost a $6 premium there. 25, yep, almost a $6 premium unless you're buying the larger quantities, 500 plus. And remember, this is a company that owns mints. They own mints. They actually have a direct relationship with the U.S. mint. A-Mark does. They're one of the big. A-Mark actually is, who owns JM, is a U.S. Silver Eagle and Gold Eagle distributor, which means that they have some mega power, all right? And their premiums on silver are just off the frickin' hook, which tells me, folks, there is no silver out there. There's very little available, at least for investment demand. Where is that silver going? Is it going into ETFs? Is it going into an industry? Is it even out there available for sale? I don't know. These are questions that we're going to find out here soon, I guess. Best deals out there, again, I advertised for my local people in South Florida. I advertised to beat JM Bullion. They're the 100-pound gorilla out there, and you don't have to worry about sending them money and not getting something back. Remember what I was talking about, just be careful out there with other companies. And 1 ounce, what's the best deal? It looks like still 100-ounce bars are, but look at the premium 100-ounce bars, man. It's just insane. You know, you're talking $4 and $5 premium for 100-ounce bars that used to be spot plus 2 1/4. You know, even cheaper years ago. You know, so I used to be able to sell 100-ounce bars at spot plus $1, and I still made $1 an ounce. So the best deals out there are 100-ounce bars when you can find them. Best deals out there are 1-ounce rounds and 10-ounce bars, kilos occasionally if you can find them. Stay away from Silver Eagles. The premiums are freaking insane at $40 over. You'd have to be a nut to buy Silver Eagles unless you're buying them for gifts or just to top off your tube. Other than that, horrible investment. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I don't even like 100-ounce, even though my price, I advertise to beat JM and APMEX and SD Bullion. I use JM mostly because they are the biggie out there. But I can beat all these prices from these guys. But I still would not want to sell you American Silver Eagles. Look at that price, $38.59. It's insane. You're never going to, for you to recover your money. Anyways, if you're buying Silver Eagles, stop. Love the product. It's insane buying them. Best deals again. Generic 1s, 10s, and 100s being the best deal in there in silver. Gold, not so much of a problem, even though I noticed that, let's take a look here, gold, in stock gold. Let's see, premiums aren't that ridiculous, even though, as I said, they have raised the premiums on a lot of the U.S. products like Gold Eagles. Best deals out there are still the gold bars. 1-ounce gold bars are the best deal, but bar none. Get it? Bar none. And I would just stick with bars. If you're going to buy, after that, I would say Britannias are probably the next best deal, along with gold Canadian Maple Leafs. But again, bars are substantially cheaper per ounce. And let's see, as low as 2001, not by much. It looks like Britannia. There you go, 1993 per ounce on those 1-ounce bars. So that looks like the best deal out there. And again, we can beat that price. So what else? Let me go into what I was talking about earlier. Ted Butler on GA. You can read this for free, by the way, gata.org. Ted Butler, another stunning OCC report shows something strange in silver. Of course, I subscribe to Ted's newsletter, and we talked about this yesterday. The reporter, and again, this is gata.org, which you can read for free. The report, Butler writes, indicates another sharp increase in the precious metals derivatives holdings of Bank of America. In addition, the total amount of precious metals derivatives held by all U.S. banks reached record levels, despite prices not being at record levels. Yeah, go figure, right? There's another thing to add on to our suspicions here. Not our suspicions, our data and facts showing us how crooked COMEX is. Perhaps most notable of all is the current report indicates a remarkable change in the composition of holding by the 4 largest U.S. banks. Silver. Butler writes, as far as the large derivative positions of any commodity, indeed, Butler contends silver is so cheap precisely because the derivatives position in the metal is so large. Again, this is what we've been talking about, this corruption in the CME markets. Otherwise, such an explanation would be given. Instead, the regulators, both the Office of Comptroller of Currency and the Commodities Future Trading Commission, continue to publish data that indicates that something is very wrong in silver, without the slightest attempt to take the necessary next step of comprehending what their data means. And Ted makes a very good point in his most recent newsletter that the CFTC has this data. They have this data that shows these huge derivative positions, yet they say nothing, they do nothing. They don't respond to emails or questions when asked why they do nothing. However, this is not Ted's opinion. This is the opinion of gata.org, who believes that governments are involved in the intervention. I think this is where Ted Butler and gata.org kind of separate on their opinions. Ted Butler believes that it's not done at the request of governments. gata.org does. I think gata.org is probably correct in the gold markets, but I don't necessarily believe that they manipulate the silver markets, but it's possible. It's possible. Here you go. But maybe an explanation can be found in the central bank's incentive program of CME groups, operator of the major U.S. futures exchange, COMEX, a program that gives volume trading discounts to governments and central banks for trading through masking intermediaries, all future contracts on CME group exchanges. Maybe there's an even more explanation of the CFTC's repeated refusal to answer even even for a member of Congress, whether the commission's jurisdiction. All right, going into the long thing, basically what GATA.org believes is that these crooked commercial banks in silver are also being doing it under the behest of the U.S. government in some way or form. Not quite sure about that, but good article to read here, by the way, in GATA.org. And they got some other good articles here. Let's take a look. I suspect anyone's been listening to me, this is on your bookmark bar, and you definitely read these articles once a week. Biden's $1 trillion debt reduction barely dents U.S. debt. Is anyone surprised? All right, I'm going to get out of here and go into ZH real quick. There's some interesting articles here as well I think you folks should read. I'm not going to read them here all day, but I'm going to point them out. Did Russia just break the back of the West? It talks about, really good article. You can read this. It's authored by Tom Luongo via Gold, Goats and Guns blog. I like this guy. He's pretty cool. And he says basically he doesn't think everyone has caught on the significance of Russia announced that they're putting a floor under the price of gold. And that floor, by the way, folks, is Russia has basically said that they will buy any gold at $1,550 an ounce. So basically what they did, Russia just backed the ruble with gold at a price of $1,550, which is lower, but again, remember, they're backing the price. They're backing the ruble with gold. Okay. Someone said that Putin is playing 5D chess while we're playing checkers. This seems to prove true more and more and more as I see things develop here. Really good article here. The Russian central banks will restart buying gold from banks and will pay a fixed price of 5,000 rubles per gram between March 28th and June 30th. And it implies a $1,550 per ounce gold price. Which is interesting. Again, this is just merely Russia backing their currency in gold in a kind of interesting way. Lots of good articles on GATA.org. I'm not going to go into them today, but there's some good stuff out here I'd suggest you reading. Look, stocks jump, oil and gold dump over Russia-Ukraine talks. See, there's the narrative right there. There's the news that the big commercial banks, the collusive, manipulative, crooked commercial banks use to knock the price of gold and silver down this morning. That right there, folks. And again, I've been telling you, watch out for this news. As soon as two things you can guarantee right now. If a ceasefire actually happens or they start talking about it, the commercial banks will go in there and slam gold and silver down. All right. When the Fed comes out and starts jawboning rates, that's when they come and do it. So news events is often the time when you'll see the big manipulative, crooked banks knocking the price of gold and silver down. I think I've said that enough times already. And yeah, I don't blame them. Let's take a look at here. All right, I'm going to go over to yesterday's video, which was not much silver available, still not, even less today, folks. And take a look at some of the questions out here. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Gosh, I usually like to mention every name, but it's getting a little hard, so I'm going to make it really big so you can read it. Big J, I appreciate you watching my videos. I really do. I think all of us are on the same page on a lot of this stuff. Switch asked me about to make a purchase of silver buffaloes. Hey, better today than yesterday, that's for sure. Don't go over, I think we're getting, my gosh, I have to look and see, but I think we're at like spot plus $5 for silver rounds today. Try not to pay more than spot plus silver, $5 for silver rounds, 5 1/4 at the most if you have to, from your local coin store. And again, as I say, you know, I'm local only, and I don't ship or anything like that. So for you folks that don't live in my area, find a good local dealer. I highly recommend you do. Try, you know, nothing wrong with JM Bullion and a couple of the other ones I talk about. But you're shipping your money out of state, you don't get that personal service, and at some point you're going to want to sell this gold and silver back. So it's good to develop a relationship with someone local, besides the fact that it keeps the money in your neighborhood. And hey, thanks for watching, Switch. I appreciate it. Hope that helped. Yes, Fireman and Tim and your mom. Is that my mom? All wars and bankers. All wars are banker wars. Yeah, that's true. Again, I'd like to thank everyone here for watching. Let me see. Juicy Boy, you're absolutely right. Anyone that has not watched that yet, I would highly, highly recommend you do. If you think you know what's going on with the Ukraine-Russian events here, you probably, if you think you know what's going on because you've listened to friends, you've watched the news, or you've read it in some articles, likely you're not getting the correct story. Definitely, 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 if you want to be smarter than the average bear and smarter than most of your government officials and the people, talking heads on TV, definitely watch this right here for sure. It's on Rumble, I'm sure of that. You can find it on Rumble. Hey, Akeisha, what's on? And Silver Nose on is awesome. Yep, Barracuda, the pike of the sea. Oh, don't waste good coffee like that, sir. Okay, yeah, sometimes that happens. And I'm just looking for questions down here. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for, I don't think it was a puffer fish. I think it was a filefish yesterday. A Helios? Finally, a true, yes. And yeah, it gets frustrating. Trust me, Spadanuda. It does get frustrating, but relax. You know, it provides a good opportunity to buy the dips on gold and silver, buy the physical. And thank you, I appreciate that. Right on to you, dude, as well. And hey, Silver Liner, that clock is changer. And again, I'm just looking for some questions here. Yes, I have read the entire text, to be honest with you, a long, long time ago. One of my favorite parts of that whole, one of my favorite parts of the whole book is the Sermon of the Mount. I think I said that right, but that's one of my favorite parts, actually. The Old Testament gets a little bit brimstony and boring, in my opinion, but I should have said that. Okay, I like to read. I'm a good reader. Thank you, Brian Welsh. I appreciate it as well, and appreciate everyone's comments. Let me just see again. I'm looking for some questions. Talmud. No, I didn't say Talmud. I think I said the Torah. Big difference between the Talmud. Okay, lost me there. And is this a boomer channel? No, it definitely is not. I've got viewers from all different ages and all different types here. All people interested in learning about silver and gold and what I know. What else here? Love the key comment. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to close out of here again. I'd like to thank all of you folks for watching and listening to me. And that's really about it. Hey, I'm going to end it with think for yourself and question authority. Again, this is my theme for the year. Let's see if I can keep it as a theme for the year. I might get bored with it and change to something else here, but definitely think for yourself, folks, and always question authority. Also question what you believe to be true is. Where did you get that information? Where did that narrative in your mind come from? Was it your parents? Was it school? Was it the newspaper? Was it a TV? Always question what you think you know, because you might find out that it's not quite what you thought. So I hope that doesn't sound confusing, or probably does. Anyway, that's it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays. Happy to help you out with whatever you need. And that's it. Hey, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.